Hey, 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 let's talk about The View today. Reviewing The View. Y'all know I'm not going to give people too long to jump in the room because it ain't that many people that's going to jump in here. Um, y'all know. So, anybody that's coming in, this is my little intro. I am trying to get more active on my channel. And one of the things I want to start doing is reviewing clips or whole episodes of The View. Um, it has always been, I don't say one of my favorite little shows, but I really do like The View. It's very interesting. It's interesting to see the hosts interact. It's just, I just like watching it. It's my little slice of drama. So I'm trying different ways to stream this, like, like kind of quick, easy. I tried a different way last time. The screen was black. Don't pick on me. I'm working on technology. But this time I like it like this. I think this might be like the little thing for me. I think this is a better way to do it. Anyways, um one thing I do want to do before we jump into anything, since I am where I need to be, I do just want to drop a little plug for my YouTube coach. Y'all know Silva is my YouTube coach. She also has a channel on YouTube, but she wrote an ebook. She makes her ebook book available to the public. And when you purchase the ebook, you can sign up for a one-on-one session where she walks you through how to grow your YouTube channel quickly. It's You usually just need one or two sessions. I just needed one session. She says most of her students only need like one or two sessions, and then your channel is up and running. And from there, all you got to do is post. And I'm saying all you got to do is I'm struggling to get in some type of routine and groove with posting. But, once you get going, it's nice to have kind of a network. It's nice to have someone who you can kind of check in with and who can check in with you and, like, get everything going. So anyways, invest in you this upcoming year. If I can get up here and talk, you can get up here and talk. Email Silver, the Silva Talk Show at gmail.com. Get the ebook, sign up for the one-on-one session, get yourself going. If I can do it, you can do it. And that's my little thing. Y'all catch me over on my coach's channel sometime. I call myself trying to mod, trying to mod and regulate the chat, you know, things are the things. Okay. So let's get into this little clip of The View. I posted the clip that I wanted to discuss in the description of this video already. And I think the title of the clip was like, "Is Donald Trump above the law?" First of all, I'm gonna say no. Um, I think a lot of people, and I am going to brief the Supreme Court case, the recent Supreme Court case where everyone's saying, "Oh, the president has absolute immunity." That is not what that case said, and I'm going to brief it. That's what we do as attorneys. We brief cases and we walk through what is the procedural posture of the case, what was at issue in the case, what is the new rule. The rule that came out of that case was a president is immune for official acts taken in the office of the presidency. That's what that case said. So most people stop there and go, "Oh my goodness, the president is immune." Well, as an attorney, so what does that mean? That means that if there's an action that you want to argue that the president or whatever official it applies to should not be immune, you argue that it was not an official act. That makes sense. The president has a wide range of powers. So you don't want just everyday people suing the president all the time when the president takes action they don't like. Our system would not work that way. However, the president or any official, if they take an action that is that is outside of the parameters of an official act, then that's a different story. So, attorneys, lawmakers, judges, we go by elements, we break down stuff. It's not just, oh my goodness, he's immune. No, he's immune for official acts. And if you go to court and you don't want him to be immune for that, you get into court and you argue that that is not an official act. And honestly, we have a Supreme Court case cementing that now, but my understanding was that that was always the case. But hey, you know, I've been around for kind of, a good long time, not a long time in this life, but it is what it is. Okay. So the clip opens, Whoopi's there, Whoopi does her thing, cool, cool, cool. And then Joy immediately irritates me by saying something stupid. She goes, Kamala wanting to help people buy first-time home buyers didn't resonate as much as Donald Trump talking about eating cats and dogs. Bit what? Huh? That sounds ignorant to say out loud. And that's also ignorant to put on people. I don't understand, what is it with this grown adult person? Her and Sonny have it bad doing this. Just because something was most important to you does not mean that it was most important to someone else in their life. For example, you, for whatever reason, seem to be hyper fixated on eating the cats and eating the dogs. Good for you. You're allowed to be. But somebody else might not have been hyper fixated on that. They might have heard that comment, disliked the comment, but they chose to weigh other things beyond that comment. That is okay. It's fine. Oh my goodness. I just thought that was such a dumb, uneducated thing to say. And I said what I said. So then Alyssa, and her and Sarah are usually the adults in the room. Alyssa goes, many voters' number one issue was the cost of living. And people didn't like the current direction of the country as it pertaining to economics. Now, I remember during my election night party, as they were doing the exit polls, they said that they thought reproductive rights was going to be one of the main, what do you call it? Like, which issue is most important to you, or which issue motivates you the most to vote. And they said people were coming out of the polls and saying that democracy, our democracy, the state of our democracy was the most important issue. So I thought people were referencing January 6th, and come to find out, people were referencing the state of our democracy as it relates to how I'm doing in the economy, as it relates to my standard of living, as it relates to my ability to enjoy life. And the reason I draw that conclusion is because as we dive further into the numbers and speaking to people beyond voting, we're finding out that it was the economy that motivated people most to vote. And I say that, I'm going to take it back. I think, I'm going to be a little bit honest, I think immigration motivated people most to vote. A lot of people might not like that. I don't know what to tell you. I don't care. I think that immigration motivated people to vote, because it's one thing, not only are we sending money every which way, I was going to say every which way but loose, but that's what we're doing, sending it loose and every which way but back to the Americans at home. Then you already have an economy where no matter what anybody wants to say about how good it's doing, people don't feel like it's doing good. People don't feel like they have as much spare income as maybe they had when Trump was in office, or even maybe as they had a few years ago. People feel like they're not able to take as many vacations or spend as much leisure time with their money as they can. That's what people feel like. And perception for a lot of people is reality. So we have that going on. And then we have people just flooding into the country, undocumented, and having access to all types of things. It was one thing where the impact of immigration was only a scar along the border. But when those border states started busing, the problems to all these northern, mostly Democrat states where now you and your citizens can feel the effects, I think people then realize like, oh, why can't it stop? What is the problem? So yes, I think the economy was a major factor, but I kind of, the more I look on it, I think immigration might have been a big factor. Immigration, securing either of our borders, any of our borders, goes into national security. Remember that balloon from China was just floating around for like a week and not, pew pew down? What? Stuff like that. So, anyways, that's what Alyssa says, that the number one issue was the cost of living. And Sarah then gives some numbers. And one thing to point out, Alyssa pointed to a few polls, and they do this to her, and she better than me. When Alyssa brings up a poll, Whoopi, who I hate to criticize, I really like Whoopi. Whoopi always goes, I don't believe the polls. I don't believe the polls. But when anyone else brings up a poll, nobody says anything cross-eyed about that. Everybody just kind of listens to it. They disrespect Alyssa a lot. So Sarah, she gives a few numbers about like the dwindling importance of January 6th to a lot of people. Like, this year people said January 6th was a big deal for them. And then the next year, as it becomes less and less a big deal in people's political interest. And that to me went back to Alyssa's point. I've told you guys that to me, January 6th was a big problem. And I want Donald Trump about the Republican Party because of it. But I'm probably a little bit better off than maybe some people. Not like, oh, I'm doing good, but like, I recognize that maybe I'm a little bit better off than a chunk of people by way of education and what have you. And while I can sit and think about January 6th, maybe there's a bigger portion of the population that they don't care what happened on January 6th. They're struggling to make ends meet and they don't like it. And I don't think we should shame someone for that, because that is just as much a valid point in a part of our democracy as anything else. So I think, yeah, Sarah, January 6th might be dwindling in importance because people are having trouble feeding their family. And, we as a people used to be a lot smarter. There's a thing called Milo's hierarchy of needs. And the example, when I was first taught it, the example that the teacher gave was, let's say it's prom season. Usually prom in high school, people are talking about what dress they're going to get. Most of the girls are talking about their dress, their date. We're going to get a limo. We're going to eat here, all this stuff. But if you have a student who maybe just had a house fire and so their home life is disturbed, they are going to worry about their basic needs first, more than likely. So they might not be so into that prom dress discussion because their basic need, food, shelter, that's not secure yet. So yes, somebody who is a little bit better off might be able to focus on January 6th as a voting issue. Whereas somebody in Milo's hierarchy of needs who is having trouble, I'm having trouble because I can't go to Disney as much as I want to, as much as I used to. But somebody who is having trouble because dinner is getting sparser and sparser and they're not on a diet, they're not going to focus on January 6th to the same level of importance as I am. And again, I don't think that's a problem. I think that's just as valid as however people vote. So then bitter Betty Sonny talks about, and she had on something that looked like she got out of Liberace's closet too. But then, and that's probably her problem. Maybe if she hadn't had that on, she would have had a better attitude. or maybe she was trying to have a better attitude. I don't know. She said that she also had heard that people were blaming the DOJ, saying they took too long. And Sonny's an attorney. Sonny used to work for the DOJ. I'm an attorney. And she said cases like that big, they take a long time to put together. I hate when people mix true statements but don't give a full story of something. That's true. That is somewhat true. The Jack Smith's, I think he had either the documents case, the January 6th case, or both. Yeah, those cases may take a long time to put together evidence. However, we learn in law school that you don't have to have all of your evidence done when you file the case. You have to have a sufficient amount of evidence so that you were honest and diligent in bringing the case, and it's not frivolous because you can show that, hey, I have this much evidence. So that's how you do that. So were they gathering all of the evidence they ever wanted, or were they gathering sufficient evidence to state a claim and maintain a 12B6 motion to dismiss because it's a federal case? So yes and no. Yeah, those cases take a long time. However, you claim, DOJ, that it was so serious of a threat to our democracy. It would seem to me that you would have found the best and brightest minds, the best and brightest investigators to get that case moving a little quick. Because I've been around some attorneys who they could put a case together. Yeah, they need a little bit of time to gather it, but they make big bucks for a reason. So that's one way to look at it. But I want people to remember that different courts and different investigative bodies are looking at different things. So the DOJ was evaluating a federal claim against President Trump. One of the Georgia state cases was about a 2016 election violation for falsifying business records. Okay, you're not going to tell me that it took you 8 years to get together information for a state claim on falsifying business records. So maybe the DOJ didn't take too long a time, but that state case sure did. And Sonny knows it too. She just wanted to say something because she's bitter about the election. And that's what it is. So then, they talk about Trump didn't talk about this, that. And Alyssa says, even though Trump is messaging in person, so his rally messages were a little bit off, his ads were very much targeted around the economy and some of those everyday issues, immigration and stuff like that people were interested in. And she's right. And then Joy gets to shouting, gets to mad and this and that. It is so unbecoming. It's just the behavior is unbecoming. And the reason I get on that behavior all the time is because when Meghan McCain, I agreed with Meghan McCain with what she was saying a lot of the time. What I did not agree with is that behavior, acting like you don't have any type of home training, like you're not housebroken or something like that. And the fact that Meghan McCain left, however she left because of her behavior, but Sonny gets to sit up there and do the same thing, I have a problem with that. I do have a problem with that. And, she needs to get it together. At her big education level, at her big net worth, she really acts ignorant. And Joy was acting ignorant today too. That stupid stuff. Get over it and have real discussions. And they act like, they're so disrespectful to Alyssa when Alyssa is explaining things like, hey, get out of your bubble, get your head out of your behind, and realize that there's a whole group of America that they were obviously focused on this. Every time Alyssa says that, hey, people were focused on everyday issues, Sonny wants to bring up something, and Alyssa is better than me because I would have said, Sonny, you sound stupid. You keep bringing up something that clearly was irrelevant, because if people felt like whatever you're talking about was more important, then the election would have had a different outcome. Clearly they didn't. So what is the problem? Dimwit, dum dum. Anyways, so this is my little reviewing of the View, or review of the View, whatever you want to have you. I'm going to try to hold myself accountable and do these regularly. And by regularly, I mean if it's something that I want to talk about, if I want to drag somebody on the View, or if it was interesting. If the episode, like Friday episodes, they usually just talk about cooking and stuff like that, I'm probably not going to review those. But if it's something I find interesting and want to talk about, I'm going to try to do it. Anyways, that is all I have. You can see my website scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Check out long form content, see merchandise, this, that, and other. I have an email now. If you want to contact me, send me a story you think you want me to cover or something you want me to write about, you can do that now. I'll post that to my community tab. And I am out of here. See you guys in the next one. Thank you for joining.